So yesterday we had a discussion about a topic called role-based access control. Let me do a quick recap so far what we have been discussed on yesterday's session. Yesterday we had a discussion about comparison of on-premises ADDS with this Azure AD. We came to know that in case if you are using a cloud computing or a cloud infrastructure, the Active Directory which you are using on in a cloud AD, there is a license or edition is been available. License normally we are using it's a free or a Office 365 or we have a premium P1 or a P2. That is the model. Right now it's been supported on in a Microsoft Active Directory. By default, when you create a account, there is a Azure AD has been created that typically is been knowing as a tenant. Then we had a discussion about getting an additional feature or getting additional security features on in a cloud computing. We understood like in case if you want to get additional options, you have to migrate your Active Directory into a license or a editions here that typically known as P1 or a premium 2 or a 365. So you need to have a additional license is needed, which will help you for getting a additional security features or a Active Directory on in a cloud infrastructure. So you have a free account, you have a 365, you have a premium P1 or a P2. These are the model. Normally it's been available here. Now each edition has been configured. It depends upon what are the feature has been supported. You can refer Microsoft portal, which will give you clear idea or understanding about what are the feature it's been normally it's been supported on each versions. You have a free account, you have a 365, you have a P1, and we have a premium 2 also. That's the version normally it's been supported. So coming on into the pricing part, right now we understood Active Directory pricing has been completely, it depends upon what are the versions currently it's been used. Is it a P1 or a P2 or a Microsoft 365? It's always depends upon what is the type of the feature is been supported here. Then we had a discussion about how do we manage your Active Directory. We understood there are two options we can able to use it here. One it's been like you can able to go to portal.azure.com. With the help of that, you can able to go for management of Active Directory. Second one we understood in case if you have a if you want to use only Azure Active Directory related management, then you can able to go for an option called aad.portal.azure.com. So we have a two option has been available. One is been like Active Directory Admin Center. Second one it's been like aad.portal.azure.com. So these are the two option normally it's been supported on in a cloud infrastructure. So you maybe notice like when you are taking an on-premises DC, we have a different console or a different administrative tools are being installed along with your Active Directory. For example, like Active Directory Domain and Trust, Active Directory Sites and Recovery. You have a, something called as Active Directory Users and Computer, and you have a, something called as Active Directory um, Management of um, Domain and Trust also. So yes, it's the same as Microsoft Entra Admin Center. Let me show you here. Give me a second. Yes, right now on the screen, I hope you can able to see portal.azure.com, right? Right now the screen currently you are seeing it's like portal.azure.com. I hope you can able to see the window here. We have been connected to portal.azure.com here. Normally we are managing an Active Directory with the help of a portal.azure.com here. So the moment when you entered inside a portal.azure.com, you have a Azure Active Directory has been available. Using this, I can able to manage all your Active Directory components. Now, second option, you can able to use instead of portal.azure.com, you can give aad.portal.azure.com. For example, like if you're giving aad.portal.azure.com, this will be taking to a dedicated portal which covering only the Active Directory related resources here. You may be able to see right now we have been entered into Microsoft Entra Admin Center. So this Entra is the new name. Right now we have been learned Microsoft is been rebranded here, right? So that is a new name currently we are using for Active Directory. So Entra is the new name we are using here. So Entra it is basically discussing about only Active Directory identity related information here. Even your portal.azure.com has been capable to manage, or it's been giving you all the directory access here. But along with your Active Directory, the same portal can be used for managing of other resources also. That's the reason we are able to use another component called Entra Administrator Manager. So this will have only related to the user management of resources on into the basically like it's been responsible for managing only the Entra related this one. So that is the way it's been managing it. So in case if you have a dedicated admin only for managing the IAM component, then you can able to use the Entra admin center. So with the help of that, you can able to manage you. That's an important point you can able to remember on in a cloud here. So typically it's the way the cloud is been managed. One, it's you can able to Azure Active Directory. Second one, it's been like you have a Entra ID management also. So that's the 2 point we have been discussing about the Active Directory admin or a management of your sender here. So we understood like Active Directory admin center, or latest name it's known as Microsoft Entra admin center. With the help of that, you can able to manage here. Then we had a discussion about your subscription and Azure AD. By default, at a time, subscription can be only trusted with one directory at a time. In case if you want to change your directory from the portal, you have an option for changing the directory also. You can able to go to the portal, and from there you have an option for changing a active directory also. So that's the way normally it's been working on in a cloud portal here. So you have an option for managing the trusting or managing the uh, relationship between one directory to one subscription that can be able to manage here. So that is the second point we had a discussion on in the last day session. Then we had a discussion about a concept called role-based access control. So it's called role-based access control. Normally, this has been known as a RBAC. RBAC has been like um, you may be aware that in case if you are configuring any resources on in a cloud portal, how cloud portal is been configured here. What are the options been currently it's been supported on in a cloud? Right now, you may be able to see there is a role-based access control has been available here. So you have a role-based access control has been available. This typically using like you have a Azure AD or a authentication or a subscription or a resource group or a storage account or a authorization. So these are the few terminologies been coming on in a cloud here. When it is coming on in a cloud infrastructure, typically this has been configured inside a Microsoft Azure Active Directory here. So you assume you have 100 user has been created on in a cloud infrastructure, and you have a Azure cloud has been supporting 200 resources and almost 8,000 plus products on in a cloud view. We cannot assign the same kind of a permissions on in a cloud onto all the resources. That's the reason we came with a concept of assigning a individual permissions. Basically, like the term normally we are using called RBAC here. So this role can be configured on in a different level. We understood yesterday it's been like this can be configured on in a resource level. We understood like this can be configured on in a resource group level, and we understood this can be configured on in a management group level and subscription level also. So that's the way normally it's been configured on in a cloud infrastructure. So you have a owner or a contributor or a reader or access is been coming here. Second one is been understood. In case if you're configuring your permissions on in a resource base or a resource group base or a subscription base or a management group base, again this has been classified into a different category, basically known as reader permission, contributor permission, or owner permission. So yesterday we have seen how we can assign a permission on in a resource level. We understood like the moment when you assign a permission to a resource, so we have considered one resource yesterday when we are doing a lab. We have created a couple of servers here, and only to the one resource we have given a permission. So in case if you have been given a permission to an individual resource, only that resource will be assigned with a permission here. Today we are going to see, in case if I'm giving a permission on in a resource group level, what will be the policies being enforced to the rest of the resources here. Yesterday we have considered only one resource. We have given a permission on in a server one. We came to know that in case if I've been given a permission on in a server one, that resource is going to get only access to that resource here, only to access to the resource. Rest of the resources will not being accessed by that user here. Today we are trying to see, in case if you have been have a multiple resource group or a multiple logical container has been available in your organization, how resource is being assigned here. In case if I have been given a permission or a IAM or a role-based access control on in a resource group level, how practically the users are going to get it a permission on in a ground level. For doing this lab, I have been created a two user account here. If you go inside a user account, we have a Arjun is the one user account. We have a Messi is the another user account is been currently created. Let's create a two resource group, and let's create a few resources also inside this. Let me create a two resource group here. First resource group, let me give market department. Let me review and create it here. Second resource I'm creating as a HR resource group here. Let me give a another resource group called HR. Let me review and create it here. So right now we have a two resource group is been created. One has been created HR, market has been created. Both is been created on the East US location. Let me create another user account, sales department. Let me create it on in a North Europe location. So we are trying to create multiple logical container on in a multiple locations here. Let me try to implement a few resources here. Let me go virtual machine. Let me enter few virtual machines here. Look like some authentication issue. Let me re-enter my password. Look like some authentication issue we are facing here. Let me connect to the portal. Let me wait for the OTP code to receive it here. Give me a second. Facing some account related issue. Let me wait for this OTP code. Right now, this user account is getting some authentication issue. Re-entering my details here. I hope you can able to see the cloud portal here. Right now, it's been connected on in a portal here. So I just connected to the cloud portal here. Yes. So right now we have a three resource group has been created: HR, market, and a sales department here. Now let me create a few resources inside on it. Right now you may be able to see how a resource has been available. Let me create a 3 resources here. Right now, you may be able to see we have a 3 resources been connected here. So right now, you may be able to see like you have a 3 resources been connected. One, it's been like I'm connecting to the HR department, giving like server one. Availability zone has been created as it is, creating into cloud here. So I'm just connecting to the first resource group. First resource I'm creating inside a HR resource group here. So right now we are discussing about role-based access control in a logical container level. That's called resource group here. So let's wait for that. Create it here. Let's wait for this to finish it. Just trying to create it on in a resource group level permissions here. Let's wait for this to finish it. So right now it's been creating on in a resource group level here. So there's a topic currently we are discussing it. So RBAC is the topic currently we are discussing. So let's wait for a few minutes. Right now this role-based access control, it's in progress yet. So we are creating the resources here. Let's wait for this resource to finish it. It will take a few minutes. Let's wait for this to finish it here. Let's wait on this one, right? Right now you may be able to see how a deployment is been completed here. Right now you may be able to see we have a server one is got created. It's been created inside a HR resource group here. Let me assign two more resource here on in a different logical container here. I'm taking instead of HR, let me take a market department. It's given server two here. Let's know availability here. Review and create. Right now this is a validation has been completed here. So we have a validation has been completed. Let's wait. Right now it's in the Right now, this deployment it's in progress here. Right now, this deployment has been completed. You have a you have a second VM has been created here. That's called server two. You have a server one or a server two has been available. Now, server two has been responsible for managing a logical. It's been part of a logical container group called market here. So we have a two different resource group has been created. It's on in a different logical container here. Let me create it on in a one more resource here. So I have something called as sales here. Let me give a word called server three. So you have a another resource group here. Resource group has been created here. Let's wait. Let's create this also here. Let's create also a VM here. Right now, this is a deployment of the third VM has been progress here. Let's wait for that. Let's wait for this to finish it here. Let's wait for this is to complete it here. So second deployment, it's been a progress here. So you may be able to see like you have a another deployment also it's been created here. So you have a third VM also it's been got created here. So technically, if you take this current scenario here, we have a multiple resources are available. Let me take you into whiteboard. That will give you more clarity on how a RBAC has been configured here. Let me take it on a cloud portal, sorry, a whiteboard. Right now, on in a while we have a discussion about RBAC, we understood like this can be configured on in a role-based access control on in a different level. Resource level we have seen yesterday. Right now we are discussing about how do we configure on in a resource group level. While doing this lab, we have taken few words here. You have a RBAC has been available. RBAC has been available on in a different level here. So right now we are discussing about resource group level here. So we have a resource level, it's been configured. We have seen how resource group level it's been working. Right now we have seen you have a another option is been like a subscription level also. Can you comment it on in a chat window? What is a resource group in your understanding? If someone is saying like a resource group, what's your understanding about resource group here? Can you comment it on in a chat? In case if you are discussing on in a resource group, what is your understanding here? In case if you are seeing a resource group, what is a resource group? So can you just comment it on in a chat? What is your understanding about resource group? Can you comment it on in a chat? Right now, can you just comment yes? So resource group is nothing. It's going to be the collection of the resources that typically it's been knowing as resource group, right? Resource group is nothing. It's a collection of resources available here. So if I'm taking a resource group, right now you have seen like HR. HR is the logical container I have created. Inside that, I have been created a few resources here. My VM has been created. Along with my VM, there is a VNIC has been created. I have a NSG has been created. So typically, a number of resources are being configured inside a cloud portal here, right? You may be seeing like you have a word to be available, or you may be having a VNIC or a NSG has been available. So that's the way it's been configured here. So you have a VM or a VNIC or NSG is the word. It's been available here. Now you have a resources are available. So this has been configured here. So previously we have seen when you configure a permission on in a VM level means if I'm giving a permission, the user is going to get only access to this specific resource here. So in case if I'm configuring on in a VM level, either it's a server 1 or a server 2 or any resources, that resource is going to get access only to a particular resource here. Right now I'm discussing about what will happen if you are giving permission on in a resource group level. So you may be noticed the moment when you start giving a permission on in a resource group level, all the resources are going to be enforced with this policy here. So whatever policy has been available, all the resources or whatever policy we are assigning on in resource group, all the resources inside in a cloud, it's going to be configured with the policies here, right? You may be able to see you have a policies been available, like it's technically it's going to be configured with the help of a individual resource level the policy has been getting here. So that is a important point. You can able to see it on in a cloud infrastructure here. So the moment when you configure here, it's technically it's going to get individual resource level here. Is this point has been clear? In case if you want to see in a detailed way, let me configure it in a lab base here. Currently, if I go back to my portal, let me go inside a cloud portal here. I have a couple of resources been configured here. It's been configured in a resource group level here, right? Let me take one resource group here. Let me consider giving a permission on in a HR level. Let me give the permission on HR level. I taken a HR level, given a access control here, added a permission is like a reader or a writer here. I just given a reader permission. Let me give a reader permission here. Here I can able to create a user account here. I just given Arjun or X or Y user account, review and create it here. So I just given resources here on in a cloud portal. I'll I'll post it on in the review details here. Right now, this been permission has been given here. Let me log in with a new user account. Right now, we have a Arjun is the user account. It's been created yesterday. Let me log in with Arjun account here. Right now, you may be able to see Arjun is got access on in a resource group level here. See, right now, even though I have a multiple resource group has been created here, Arjun is got access only on into the one access here, right? You may be able to see you have a one resource group has been available here. You may be able to see like you have a one new resource has been available on the portal here. Right now, you may be able to see you have a resource has been given access onto the all the resources here. See, I have a resource group has been accessed here. So only for the resource group HR, where we are given a permission, the user has been able to access here. See, I have able to access the resource group called HR. Even though I have a multiple resource group has been available here. Right now on the screen, you may be able to see I have been connected to a different ID where you can able to see I have access to HR or a on premises or a sales different level of permission. You may be able to see it here. But right now I have been provided access only to HR account here for Arjun. Arjun has been able to access only one resource group here. You may be able to see he's been able to access only one resource group here. So that's an important point you may be able to understand on in the cloud portal here. So you have only one cloud portal, only one access only you are able to see it on in the cloud portal here. Is this point has been clear? Technically, you may be able to see you have only one group level access is being provided. Technically, all the resources has been coming under the category of that resource group will have a permission here. That's an important point. Right now, you can able to see here. In case if you go inside a market one, for example, like HR, you may be seeing like I got access to HR. If you go inside all resources, you may be seeing like all the resources has been part of that resource group. You are able to access here. Same thing if you go inside another resource group. For example, like if I'm giving market here, if I'm trying to create a permission here, I have an option of giving permission on a reader basis, or I have an option of giving a permission on in a uh, contributor or other role also, other privileged administrative role also. You will be able to see it here. So you may be able to see like I have an owner or a contributor permissions are able to see here. Even you have option to modify this one. So you have an option like when you had a discussion on a resource group, you may be seeing like you have a reader permission is getting. Right now, you may be able to see similar kind of subcategory of the permission you are getting for your resource group also. So you have a option of selecting owner or a contributor also here. So if I'm giving a contributor, same thing, all the user account inside that it's going to get a permission here. So for example, like if I give an Arjun here, I can just select it here, review and assign it here. So the contributor permission, it's been assigned to that particular user group here. So you can able to see the particular user is got this permissions here. You may be able to see you have a permission is getting here. Right now you may be able to see you have a permission has been getting here. Let's wait. Let's wait for this to finish it. Right now this permission has been given. Let me connect to the Arjun account here, log out and log into again to Arjun account. Let's see whether this account is got a permission on in a resource group here. So let's wait for this to finish it. Let me enter the password here. It will take a minute for this to finish it. Just trying to see the password. Arjun user account password is not taking. Let me reset it here. Look like some issue with the user account. Let me reset the password here. Give me a second. User's account. Give me a second. The password is not resetting. Right now, I'm just trying to reset the roles here. Let's go to the roles. Reset the password. Yes, reset the password here. Let me reset the password. The new password. Okay. Let me reset the password here. Let me re-enter the reset the password once again. No, this password is already resetted. New password. Let me give. Password is asking same time as from sign in here. So like similar like yesterday, Microsoft is saying like Robin, you always trying the same password. Let me give a new password. Let me try Surag@123. Surag, I'm just using your name. So all my names has been uh, Microsoft has been blocking. So let me give Surag name. Hey Surag, your password is taken. So we were getting a error message here. So accessing password details have been provided. It's got issue here. So let's wait. Right now you may be able to see you have a resource has been available here. With the help of that, let's see how resource group level permission has been provided. So while doing this lab, we have given permission on in a market level also. You may be seeing like a market level permission has been provided here. See, it's been given market here. So you may be able to see market is the permission right now. It's been provided here. See, market is the permission currently it's been provided. See, the market is the permission currently it's been given here. So market is the permission currently it's been configured here. So you have HR and market has been available. So permission has been provided on in a market level here. Is this lab has been clear to everyone here? So right now we have seen when you given permission on in a market level, sorry, in a permission on in a resource group level, all the resources which has been holded by that logical container will be configured with the help of that permission. See, you may be able to see how a permission has been configured here. So right now you may be able to see you have a resource has been available on the portal here, right? So you may be able to see like you have a resource has been available here. So you have a, all the resources been clear here. In case if you're clear about this concept, can you comment it on the chat? You may be seeing like how RBAC has been configured. You cleared about how contributor role has been assigned. You understood how resource group it's been configured also, right? So this point has been clear. Now, in case if you want to go for other than your inbuilt rule, we have an option to set our own custom role also. If you take a resource group, you have a couple of resources are available. For example, like I'm taking sales. In case if you want to set your own custom rule, you have an option to set a custom rule also. You have an option for other than inbuilt rule. If you want to set your own custom rule inside a resource group, you can able to set it here. See, you have an option to set a custom rule. Permissions, you have a assigned scope is been available. You can able to define your permissions here. What are the type of the permissions currently it's been available? You have an option for selecting here. For example, like you are thinking like you want to have a virtual machine level. If you want to set only some custom rule, for example, like Microsoft virtual machine here. Compute here. I'm just selecting like I want to do some compute based permission. Here you can able to set, for example, like one user is need only access to shut down your computer here. I want to set Eric is been only allowed only to create some capacity configuration here, or any customized role if you want to set it inside your organization. For example, like inside a VM, specific action to be assigned to a user, that can be able to set it here. See, you have an option to set that. For example, like you have a user called Eric. Eric is only allowed to restart your computer, or inside a virtual machine, he can only allow to run on a maintenance or a redeploy. In case if you want to set any kind of such permission, that can be configured with the help of this custom rule here. So that's the way normally we'll do. Is this point is very clear? Any questions to anyone? Any questions from anyone? Okay, it's been clear. There's a answer you're getting. So custom rule has been clear. We understood how RBAC has been working. Now, any other questions from anyone? None so far. Great. Now, let's go and see how do we add AD roles here. AD role is something like you have created a couple of user account. You may have to give some particular permissions, like basically like you need to assign some kind of a permission to a user here. For example, like basically like some assignments or some administrative task if you want to assign to a user here. How do we do that? Normally, if you take any organization in all legacy type of infrastructure, you may be heard about you have a backup administrator or you have a enterprise administrator. Concepts are available here, right? You may be having a enterprise administrator, or you have a different vendors has been aligned, right? So you may be having a domain administrator or a printer administrator or a backup administrator. These are a few permissions normally we have configured here. So when it is coming on in a cloud infrastructure, how do we assign similar kind of a permissions? So it's basically like in the olden days, we used to have a permission has been configured on in an individual um, Active Directory based here. Now, when it is coming on in a cloud, let's see how this has been assigned here. In case if you want to give a permission to a user into a particular group, one of the common group normally we are using on in a cloud, it's called global admin. So the term normally we are using it's called global admin. So global admin, it's basically the person, or it's been equivalent to your enterprise admin here. So when you take a enterprise admin, we used to have a enterprise and admin concept, right? Now, normally you may be able to see like you may be able to see like you have a enterprise admin is the one group. Normally, it's got a high or it's like the topmost user account is been available on in a cloud here. Now, when it is coming on in a cloud scenario, the top admin or the root admin normally we are using, or the person who got a complete access on in a cloud portal, it's basically known as global admin here. If you go inside the active directory, let me take a few user account, let me assign few permission to that user. For example, like let me take a user called Arjun here. You may be able to see you can able to assign a permissions here. If you go inside a user account, you may be able to see there is an option called assign the roles here. By default, when you create a user account, they have been created as a normal user here. Rest all it's been depends upon how the resource it's been configured inside a cloud here. What is the RBAC policy has been configured. But in case if you want to assign some specific admin task, that's completely depends upon what is the assigned role currently you have here. So that's normally configured with the help of assigned roles here. You can able to click on the add assignment. Now on the add assignment option, if you are selecting, you can customize the role to the user here. So it depends upon the organization needs. Some role it's been only assigned or only supported only on in a P1 or a P2 cases here. You may be able to see the roles here, and the right side you may be able to see the description also here. So you have a roles has been available, you have a description also it's been available here. So you have a roles and description you can able to see. You have a global admin also available here, adding here, and you may be able to see the roles has been keep on adding here. So this is the way normally the roles has been assigned on in a cloud portal. So with the help of that, you may be able to configure some additional roles here. So you have having option for additional role can be configured here. Now, another one you can able to see like our administrative unit. Administrative unit is nothing rather than giving a permission to individual user level. You can able to create a pool of group here that basically known as administrative unit. For example, like in case if your organization you have a logistic group or HR group has been available, so all the user who's been part of that, you can add it to that logical group. So basically that whoever has been added to that unit, they will be getting a permission here. So rather than giving a assigned role on an individual user level, better you can create a logical unit that basically known as administrative unit. With the help of that, in a bulk amount or in a single click, you can able to assign the permission to the whole group here. That normally done with the help of administrative unit. With the help of administrative unit, you can able to configure that. So that's the way it's been the normally the configuration is been done. With the help of that, you can able to configure this. I hope this 2 point it's been clear to you. In case if you want to configure this, that normally done with the help of a configuration here. Now let me discuss about another term. It's called dynamic group also. Right now we have discussed about a user one. Next one, when you create a group here, you may be able to see there is a two option normally you can able to see here. One is called a security group and another one is called Microsoft 365 also. So if you want to add any user into a particular Microsoft Active Directory, uh, if you want to add a user to a particular group inside a Microsoft Azure Active Directory, you can able to create a groups here. So security group is your normal user account where you can able to assign the permissions. In case if you want to assign a permission to Microsoft 365 application, you can add that user account into 365 app here. Now, when you go for membership type here, you may be able to see there is a two more option normally used to see here. One is called dynamic device or dynamic group here. Since my Active Directory has been configured on in a free account mode, that the reason I'm not able to see that options here. Right now, you can able to see my Azure Active Directory. Currently, it's been configured in a AD free mode here. There is a two more concept normally it's been supported, something called a dynamic user or dynamic device also. Let me show you here. Right now, if you select this group, I'm not able to see that option here, right? When you take a membership type here, I'm not getting that option. This option is been in a grayed out mode because my license currently has been available. It's a P1. It's not a P1 or a P2 here. Let me coming to portal here. So let me upgrade my portal here. So let me connect it on the portal. Let me change this license tab. Let me upgrade into my license tab here. Let me go try upgrade your license. Let me try the update. Let me activate my P1 or a P2 license here. Let's wait for this to finish it. Upgrading the license, we have to wait 1 or 2 minutes for updating you. Right now, this failed to actually already have a trial before because already have a license been used on in the past. That's the reason we are getting this error message here. Let's let me see this. Give me a second. Let me see. Is there any other option has been available? Just give me a second. Let's wait for a minute. Give me a second. I'm just trying to see like is there any option to upgrade this P2 license here? Just give me a second. Trying to see is there any option to upgrade this up P2 here. So it's getting some messages here. It's all right. Now this is not allowing me to upgrade here. Let me show you a concept here, what exactly this has been working. When you go for creating a user group here on an Active Directory, let me enter into Active Directory here. When you create a group inside a Cloud Active Directory, you may be able to see there is an option you are getting something called a members type here. When you create this option, normally we used to get a 3 options inside this. The moment when you select a membership type here, right now this option has been grayed out mode because the license currently I'm using it's been not allowing me to upgrade into P1 or a P2 here. So when you got a license on a P1 or a P2, along with your assigned here, right now you may be seeing there's an option called assign. Along with your assign, normally we used to get an option called dynamic user or dynamic device here. So there are two options you will get. It's called dynamic user or dynamic device here. Typically, the dynamic user, it will allow us to configure some set of queries or a properties here. I'm just saying, like when you create a user account on in a real-time scenario, that user may be part of some particular location or part of some particular uh, location or a particular department or a particular category or a particular property, right? The user may be part of HR group or the user may be part of some um, market group or a part of some location here. Now, every time, or he may be part of some city also. Now, every time if you create a user account, each country or each location or each department, we will have a different policies or a permission may be available here. So configure, sitting and configuring user account on each ways, it's going to be a tough job for us, right? Because every time user account it's been configured on in a individual user account, it's going to be a tough job for us. So that's the reason you may be able to see, you can able to configure on in a query based or a property based here. For example, like if you create a dynamic user, when the user properties or a group it's been configured with some property details like a city or a location or a department, automatically that user will be queried based on the properties and automatically it will be added to the particular group here. For example, like you want to add all the user who's been created under the HR category. Automatically, if you want to add this one, then you can convert your license to a P1 or a P2. Automatically, this will be added the user into the HR department here. So basically, the based on the query or the properties you have been defined here. I hope you got the point, right? So rather than you are giving a details here. So that is the important point. Normally we are doing it. So you don't need to configure the user account on in a sit and do it in an individual user base here. Automatically, the moment when you created a user account, user will be added to that user here. So that is the important point you need to remember on in a cloud here. Is this point is been clear? Same thing you can able to configure. You can able to see it on in a cloud also here. You may be able to see like when you configure it on in a um, device basis, like all the Windows machine or a Linux or a Mac based computer, if you want to add into a particular user account, even that also can be configured with the help of this. How do we do that? So that's the important point. You can able to see it here. You have a Windows or a Linux machine has been available. If you want to do that, you may be able to see there's a you have an option has been available on into the portal here. So you may be able to see, you can able to see like you have a user has been available. So you can able to define that device details here. I just pasted the details on the dynamic user or a group also on the chat here. Now how to create a dynamic group. Let me give you that procedure also on the chat video here. So let me give that details also on the chat window. Let me try to consolidate all these details on the um, PDF document and I'll be sharing you on in the WhatsApp group. So all the note related to the RBAC, Active Directory rules, custom role, and what topic we have been discussed about 365, that also will be discussed that we consolidated and given to you. So that's about the configuration of dynamic user here. Next one is about a topic called custom domain here. Right now you may be able to see when you create a Active Directory, users or the Active Directory is being configured in a tenant model here. Normally you may be able to see like you have a domain name is been coming as dot on microsoft.com, or you may be seeing like a tech support dot on dot microsoft.com, right? But there are some situation organization or the client, they may be looking for a customized domain name like apple.com or orange.com or eric.com or surak.com or x.com or y.com. So how do we do that? You may be seeing like when you're configuring a local domain controller or on-premises ADDS, normally while creating a domain, we used to give the forest name or a child domain or a tree name, right? That is a method we have been used here. So how do we do similar kind of options on in a cloud portal? That typically has been done with the help of a concept called customized domain here. You need to go inside the cloud properties here, cloud or Entra ID properties here, or Azure AD properties here. Inside this, you may be able to see there is a option has been coming. It's called as custom domain name here. When you take a Active Directory properties, you may be seeing there's an option called domain here. You may be able to see the option has been getting here. Right now, you may be able to see this custom domain options here. The moment when you select it here, you may be able to see like you have a user account, or sorry, you have a resources been available here. With the help of that, you can able to add the domain name here, right? You can able to add the domain name here. But the moment when you add a domain name, you may be giving a apple.com or orange.com or x or y.com. That domain has to be purchased from the third party vendor. You maybe heard about a company called GoDaddy.com, right? You maybe heard about an organization called GoDaddy. Is one of the commonly used domain providers across the globe. You can go to the GoDaddy site. From the GoDaddy site, you may be able to see like you can able to purchase the domain here. So you can able to give X or Y domain name. You need to log into this portal. From this portal, you will be able to purchase the domain name. So for example, like I want to configure like a cloudhub.com. I can able to configure it here. I can just give a cloudhub.com. You can able to purchase the domain. Once you created this domain name, the details or the txt file you can able to add it here. So you may be able to see the domain name you can able to add here, and you need to verify here. So at any point of time, if the organization is be looking for any kind of customized name, we may have to purchase it from the vendor. Only with the help of that only you will be able to go for um, making a customized domain name changes inside your organization. Another point you need to remember, whatever domain name currently it's been created by default here. Right now you may be able to see like mindia dot on microsoft.com. Whatever ID you have been created or it's been tenant is been created along with your account, that's been not allowed you to make any changes here, right? You will not be able to delete or modify whatever tenant has been created automatically here. So whatever tenant has been automatically has been created inside your cloud portal, it won't be able to configure it here. So it won't be created automatically here. So it's been created automatically. Won't allow you to delete or modify on in the cloud here. So whatever existing it's been created, that won't be able to modify on in the portal here. That's important point you need to remember on in the cloud portal. So whatever existing has been created here, that won't be able to create it on in a cloud by default. It's been available here. It's been um, not possible to configure it here. So you don't be able to edit or modify here. So that's an important point you need to remember on in a customized domain name here. When you go for inside a cloud portal, you may be able to hear about one more option is called self-service password reset. For example, like In case if you're working on in a self-service or a IT help desk, most of the time we used to get it a call called I forgot my username or a password. I need to reset my user account here, right? You may be seeing like while we are doing our lab also, Arjun account is got forgot his password. We have done with the help of Azure portal. So in case if you want to go for any user to be configured any kind of license, like in case any kind of password reset automatically, that normally done with the help of an option called licensing tab. In case if there is any user needs to reset their own password, we don't want the user to reach out to the help desk or any group. They don't want to reach out to some, there's a critical team has been available. We don't want them to wait for the help service desk or a IT desk to reach out them. We can able to configure or we can able to give a flexibility to the user here. For example, like you can able to define a number of that authentication method if there's been failed. For example, like you may be seeing like when you try to access your banking portal, in case if you have been given some wrong password for 3 or 4 times, you will be getting an option for resetting, right? You may be seeing like you're getting an option for reset the password, right? Same thing you can able to configure here also. In case if the number of attempt is been got failed, you can ask them for resetting your password themselves. Or if the user has been not use the account, or if the password has been maybe some of the bank you may be seeing like after 60 days mandatory that we need to change the password, right? If the number of the days it's been completed, like you can able to set one password is only for 60 days or 45 days, you can able to set the time here, right? So that all you can able to configure with the help of a concept called self-service password set. Number of attempt, number of the day, all these options you can able to set it here. Normally how this is been done, this normally done in a user basis here. You have a user account is been available. For example, like you can just go to Active Directory. You can go to the user account. I'm just taking a user like Arjun here. You can able to assign the license here. So each user, you can assign the license here. Right now, I don't have any P1 or a P2 license has been available. So you can able to assign here. So once it's been assigned, user will have option for setting a different authentication mechanism here. Once the license has been assigned, they can go inside a option. You will be getting an option called security device here. So you'll be getting one more tab will be opened here. Something called as if you go inside this one, you may be able to see one more option will be opened. Something called as properties here. So that option will be enabled. With the help of that, you can able to reset your own password. So that's the one option normally we used to use it on in a cloud portal here. In case if there is any user want to set any kind of OTP code or on into your mobile or email ID, or in case they want to set their own password, then you can able to go for this option here. So this is one important feature normally we are using on in a real-time scenario here. Let me pause it here for taking your questions. Any questions from anyone? If you're good, can you comment it on the chat, please? So far, whatever topic we have been discussed, can you comment it on the chat? Okay. Any questions from anyone? Or I can see there is a like button we are getting. Thank you for that. Great. So we are pausing today's session here because I'm facing some power outage at my place. So my UPS is been almost drained. So almost 2 to 3% only it's been left out. The balance will be compensated tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a extended hour will be available for compensating this time schedule. So we'll be covering the rest of the topic on tomorrow. Or the PDF document related to this will be shared tomorrow. Over to you, Surak.
Thank you, Robin, for session. And sorry, guys, that we had to conclude a little bit earlier, but I think we were almost on time, and we were able to conclude what we were